it's VEENA V and welcome back to Pen to Print. This is the competition to basically make your dreams come true. If you want to become a published author, make sure you enter this competition. We're here to help you and we're interviewing some of the best people to help you as well, just like today's guest. Her name is Dani and she is the founder and CEO of Conscious Dreams Publishing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lovely welcome.
We love to welcome our guests here at Pen to Print.
Thank you.
Firstly, tell us, what is Conscious Dreams Publishing? What does your company do for authors?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me on your show. I think this is an amazing idea. Pen to Print competition sounds like a fantastic opportunity. So, Conscious Dreams Publishing, we provide bespoke publishing and mentoring services for authors with powerful messages and stories to share with the world. I'm absolutely passionate about working with authors who have powerful stories and messages and want to get the book out there on a global scale. So that's what
I love that. I love your passion for this.
Thank
I
you.
think there needs to be more people out there that do help authors, because there's so many people that have great stories, great books inside, but they just don't have that support.
Yeah.
So well done for doing what you're doing.
Thank you very
And
much.
before you started your company, you actually released your own book, and that's how you obviously got to forming your company. So tell us about that journey.
Okay, so my first book was called Mr. Wrong, and it's funny because I actually always saw myself as, a young, a children's author. In fact, the first book that I've written that hasn't been published is there under my bed somewhere, and so it's there, and that's what I thought would be my first book and then my life's work. But for me, this book came about because I got to a stage in my life where I said, you know what, hands up. My name is Daniella Blechner and I've had a decade of dating disasters. And my friends kept saying to me, how are you meeting these people? How are you meeting these men? And I said to myself, if I meet one more Mr. Wrong, I'm going to write a book. And so it just kind of, I was at that stage in my life where that was important to me. And I was passionate about, collecting stories from other women who've encountered these, different relationships. And it wasn't about blame. It was more of an exploration into why we attract certain relationships and men into our lives and how we can set ourselves into a more positive path. And it was my passion behind, that self-discovery and looking at how to break limiting belief systems that really drove me to write that book as opposed to that children's book. So
I love that. I think maybe a lot of people watching this as well will think, hold on, how did you do it without being judged? Because like you said, you wanted to be a children's author and then kind of releasing this adult dating book is something completely different. So what would be your advice to someone watching this who they're just a bit scared maybe of stepping out of their comfort zone and writing a genre that they feel, hold on, people are going to accept this?
It's really interesting you asked that question actually, because it started off as a blog. So we had these different sketches of these different Mr. Wrong characters. There are success stories in there as well. It's, as I said, it's not about blame. There's really great stories from men too. But it started as a bit of a joke. We had these different character sketches. I wrote out, have you encountered this type of Mr. Wrong character? And I had women all over the world sending in stories. That sounds bad, doesn't it?
The dating disasters.
The dating disaster stories. But I had my photo up there on the blog. And that's something I never would have done. I'm very much behind, I didn't do camera interviews, didn't do live streaming. I was very much behind the scenes. So for me to have my picture on a blog and say, hey, but there was something so empowering about that. And that came through the response of people saying, I can relate to your story. And therefore it gave them almost permission or validation that they can also share their story too. So I think, and it's also important to write from an empowered place. So I wasn't writing from a place of, oh my gosh, I've met this person. It wasn't about that. It was about exploring, learning from our past and being empowered to being able to learn how to make better decisions. And that was really more important than, oh my gosh, my face being judged. When you start to see the impact that you have on other people. And that comes through having a strong why and knowing what your message is and who your target reader is and what impact you want to have on them. But there's always going to be an element of fear and holding back when you're opening yourself up.
How do you build your confidence up? Because I've met a lot of authors now through doing the social media for Pen to Print, and a lot of them, they're so talented, but they don't want to be doing social media. So again, what would you say? Because I really believe, like, if you are an author now, if you want to become one, you have to build a foundation. Even if that foundation, people think they need thousands of people. believe you do to start off with.
No.
So what would you say to them again? Like, how can they get onto social media as well and just be confident in what they're doing?
That's a really interesting question, because when I was, I thought I'd do everything by route when I'd written Mr. Wrong. I applied for agents. I then did all the things that they say not to do, actually. And that was like contact random house and say, I've got this manuscript, what do you think? And even though they got back to me, a lot of them said, we're looking for somebody who's got an existing platform, or, what's your marketing plan? What's your social media plan? I'm thinking, I don't know, what's a marketing plan? I'm just an author. So it's so important. And this is what I say to the authors or aspiring authors that we work with during our workshops. Before you even start building up your brand, start building up your platform. So it's just equipping yourself with the right knowledge and tools. There's so much out there that, assists you through, learning how to use social media. We have VEENA, the YouTube queen. I run workshops about each week. It's called The Power of Your Story, and each week focuses on a different aspect of publishing. And within, one of those weeks, we've got a session on, promotion and live streaming. In fact, you should come along.
Maybe I should. Maybe we all should go.
Well, let's all come down. So,
can I just say, Danny has actually grown so much. Like Danny does a lot, and please, if you are an aspiring author, even look what Danny's doing in terms of her social media. She's going on, you talk about, sometimes you might be reading something from a specific author, or you're always building your brand on social media, and it's just so important for people to see you. Even if you think in your head, oh, no one's going to benefit from this, every time you go live or make a little video, it doesn't have to be highly professional. You're building your brand, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's that you never know who's watching. I've had, I've gone to events and people said, oh, well, I've seen some of your live streams. I think, well, I've never seen you on my, you never commented.
I think that we'll delve into this now, because this is a really important thing in terms of, we get our book out there, we've done the book, but then it's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
How would you promote it? So we've just talked about social media. Let's go into that a bit more. If someone has got their book, or even maybe before they've even released their book, they're in the process, what are the kinds of things people watching this can be doing to start building their brand of VEENA the author?
VEENA the author?
I'm probably not going to be an author, but
she will.
I just couldn't think of another name quickly enough. Okay, Emily the author.
All right, well, first of all, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't think you have to do Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter. Just choose 2 platforms that work for you. Find out, test the market, where's your audience?
Yeah.
If you can, get a book cover design early on. You can get a book cover design before you even write your book.
Yeah.
And it helps you with the vision. And the more people see your branding colours, your book cover, you're building up that.
That's a really good idea. Yeah. I think, and that's something tangible that people can see, rather than just saying, oh, my book's coming out in 2020.
2 years time.
You can still, that's a great idea. Where can people, are there any specific places? Do you just hire a graphic designer, or are there any websites that people can literally go on and just pay someone and they'll do the book for them?
Outsourcing is brilliant.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was like, I've got to do everything myself. I am not a designer. I'm terrible. But I have an idea of how I want things to look in my head. So there's lots of different sites you can go on to. You've got www. So there's lots of websites you can go on to. You've got Fiverr.com.
Yeah.
You've got Upwork as well. Then you've got People Per Hour. So you've got lots of different freelance.
Yeah.
And it's depending as well what your following is like. At the moment, what I'm doing now is going on Facebook, because I know that there's so many people in my network who have different skills that I might not even know. There's been times where I've had issues with my website, or I've needed something designed. And I put a call out, and then you've got the pick of the bunch, really. So it depends. Grow your network. Grow your
again,
followers.
That's another great tip. Even if on your personal Facebook page, if you're putting something, does anyone know a graphic designer? You might be friends with a mum who has a son that's just finished university, done graphic design. You don't know unless you put it out there.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked kind of about social media, but what else could people be doing on there? So pick kind of 2 platforms, do that, kind of, intrigue people to what's going on. If someone wanted to make short little videos, or you do a lot of live videos, live streaming, what is someone going to talk about if they haven't even released the book yet?
Well, okay, so again, it's like breaking down the themes. What is your book about? Say, for example, your book is about relationships. Then you could really create some engaging, it doesn't have to be long. Pick main themes that are existing in your book and create questions. Make sure your titles are catchy. So it could be, I'll use Mr. Wrong, for example. Is there such a thing as Mr. Wrong? And you could have...
and that's a really good, intriguing title.
Well, that's it, exactly. Yeah. Mr. Wrong's already a bit controversial. What do you mean, Mr. Wrong? What about Mrs. Wrong? So it'll attract people. And it's like, well, okay, what is Mr. Wrong? What creates Mr. Wrong? Actually, should we be empowered because we're the ones making it? Are we wrong for ourselves? So create a debate question.
Yeah.
What is Mr. Wrong, first of all? How are we attracting them? And what can we do to break that cycle? And what mistakes are we making as women to bring that into our lives? So you can create some really interesting short live streams. Forgiveness is another one.
I think that's such a good idea. Look in your book and see what are the that's so that's just an amazing thing. Sometimes
copyright that.
But sometimes the obvious things, sometimes you don't think about until someone else says it to you. I mean, even look what we're doing at Pen to Print. We're not just telling you about the competition. We're getting experts on and interviewing them. So again, if your book is about dating, as an example, you could actually interview dating experts.
Exactly.
You might think it's nothing to do with your book, but you're building your brand. That's the whole point of it.
And touch on that as well, actually. If you're writing a fiction book, for example, and it's not particularly anything specialist, there's still themes within that book.
Yeah.
So again, you could find... even other authors maybe who have written in that particular genre. As you said, experts within that particular theme or topic that features in your book, or interview them. I think that's a great idea as well. So do you work with us?
Sorry, I'm already working for Pen to Print. Sorry. Okay, so we've done the social media angle. What else if you're, realistic tips for people watching this now, what else can they do on the build-up to launching that book, to be building their brand?
The build-up to launching that book, I would say, first of all, when you finished your book, what people do tend to forget, they think, right, I finished a book, work's done. No, work is just begun. So you want to know, early on, is anyone actually interested in reading your book? So how are you going to find that out? Find beta readers. So what do I mean by beta reader? Beta readers are like your tester readers. So I would say, get about 5, all different ages, backgrounds, different contexts that you know them in.
Yeah.
Get them to read your manuscripts and give them guided questions that help you to know whether they've got the message. If it's fiction, do your characters work? What could you improve? What were their thoughts about the book?
Yeah.
So guided questions.
Do you know what? I think that, again, I have learned, I don't know about you, but I've learned so much. And would it also be a good idea to actually send that out to your beta readers who actually don't know you? Because I feel if you send it to friends, they're more likely to say nice things because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But if it's like a friend of a friend or someone who just does not know you, is that a better option maybe to do?
I would say so, because it depends what sort of friend you have.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time friends they're so happy that you've achieved something. It might just be like, it was good. But that doesn't help.
Or they might say it's really good and never actually read it.
Yeah, exactly, which definitely does happen. You want to and that's why you want to have those guided questions so that you know that they've read those particular bits that are important. So I would say, ask a colleague, ask a family member, so people in different contexts.
And finally, what would be your last bit of motivation for people who just want to enter this competition or just be an author in general? What would you say to them to keep going? Because this is a long process. You might write your book and it might never get picked up. You might have to write 10 books. It might be the 10th one that finally gets picked up by an agent. So what would you say to all the aspiring authors out there?
I would say, if you are passionate about publishing your book, if you know that you have a unique story and one that could greatly impact others, keep going, don't give up. You'd be surprised at how many established and successful authors were rejected. Not just once, twice, I'm saying multiple times. Whenever you feel a bit doubtful, because those days do happen, just know that that is normal. But really make sure that you have a clear vision and that you have a clear why. Know why you're doing it, because it's that why that's going to keep you deeply rooted in everything you do. And always think about the reader and the impact that your story is going to have, and how many people you can inspire through your book and through your achievements. So just keep going. Do enter this competition. It is a fantastic opportunity. You never know how your life can change.
You never know. And you've seen in previous interviews, if you haven't done so already, actually I'll link up Fazana's interview. Please watch that. She won Pen to Print last year. And Fazana says it herself, it's literally changed her life. You know, she was a mum at home, and then she's out now, like speaking to people, winning Pen to Print. It's just an amazing opportunity. So if you've not entered, you don't know what Pen to Print is, go to lbbd.gov.uk/pen to print and enter the competition. You've just got to submit your first chapter and synopsis, and that's it. And then it's going to be judged. And if you get through, 10 people are going to get free mentoring support and also that chance to get their book published. You've literally got nothing to lose.
No, that sounds amazing.
It's amazing. Danny, I think you should. Danny, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to put all of Danny's links below this video as well. So make sure you check her out. And like I said, do not forget to enter this competition, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye. Or always keep going.
They're both the same thing. Okay. What are you waiting for?
So I thought you were going to ask me the question again.